Oh, we're going to talk a lot about the Elite Eight. But you know what? There was a little scrimmage on Thursday.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. This episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. I'll tell you about 5 Hour Energy in just a little bit. I want to thank you every day for being here every day. Thank you, newbies, for being here today. And thanks, everybody, for making this your first listen every single day. You guys are the best. Jimmy, we definitely want to talk some Alabama v. Duke in the Elite Eight. We're going to do that in the third segment. But, there was a huge scrimmage yesterday, the first scrimmage of the year for the Alabama Crimson Tide. And, it's not like we've got this huge amount of information from it. But you try to glean what you can. And it does sound like Ty Simpson did okay.
Yeah, I talked to people who talk to people a little bit. I don't have a ton of great stuff to share, but I think from what I do know, the main takeaway for me is Ty, because the quarterback battle is eating up a lot of oxygen when you're talking about what's going on this spring. It's the quarterback, and I don't really even like referring to it as a quarterback battle. To me, and probably I'm the only one that looks at it this way. Maybe the coaches don't even look at it like this, but to me, it was like, okay, Ty is the oldest kid who's been around the longest. He gets first shot. I had such confidence in Ty Simpson as a player that I've just kind of assumed the whole time. Like, I don't know that a young kid could beat him out. And if a young kid does, Keelan or Austin, then boy, time to get super excited, because all I want's the best guy possible being the quarterback. But I just figured Ty would be really tough to beat out, and I think yesterday showed why. I mean, I hear, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, or even 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. I think a couple to another spring story, Isaiah Horton. But I don't think we should be surprised about that. Isaiah Horton's good because he was is a proven college football player there in Zay, as the kids call him. Rico Scott with a touchdown, I hear. And there's video. There's video that I say I hear. I saw Rico Scott touchdown the video that Alabama football released. I heard Keelan played well. I did hear he did look good, especially for a true freshman in his first series like that. I know DeBoer was happy with the run game. I know the Alabama football video featured a big run by Jam Miller. Excited about what Jam might be able to do now in a more traditional run attack. But overall, I heard good things about the defense as well. So it sounds to me like it went well. Most importantly, I don't think they added anyone to he's going to be out the rest of spring list, which was too long to begin with. And, we'll also talk a little bit about, Luke, about how A-Day, DeBoer finally talked about the A-Day format. It's just really going to be a practice.
Yeah.
The vast majority of Alabama fans were really upset or disappointed. I'm not, just simply because I enjoy watching practice. I mean, I'm 4 hours from Tuscaloosa. If I was told tomorrow, hey, they're practicing, you can come if you want and stay the whole practice, I would drive, 8-hour round trip to watch them practice for 2 hours. I get a lot out of it myself. So it doesn't bother me. But I understand how others are bothered. I mean, a game is just easier to follow, and there's stats, and it's more clear how players are doing. But I like watching each position group, seeing who's good, seeing who's leading the group. You can form a depth chart watching practice in your head. You really can.
I think you brought up a good point earlier that, hey, if Ty Simpson isn't the quarterback, it doesn't necessarily mean Ty Simpson isn't good. It may mean the other dudes are just better and they are really, really good. But I do feel like this performance, whether it is orchestrated or just completely organic, this should bring down some of the hype. If you're a Keelan Russell, Austin Mack guy, and you're like, I feel like I've already seen enough Ty Simpson for whatever reason. maybe this can bring everybody back down, ground everybody a little more, and say, okay, Ty Simpson probably is the guy in the end. I mean, I think even you and I have gotten caught up in the Keelan Russell is just a dude.
Oh,
Because
he is.
I'll tell you what, when you see videos out and about on the various social media sites, on the various Alabama websites, the video is always of Keelan Russell.
Mhm.
It's never of Ty Simpson for whatever reason. Now, again, maybe that's, but it just feels like, okay, Keelan Russell, we've gotten a good helping heaping of Keelan Russell, and I love me some Keelan Russell, and I still maintain he's going to be a fabulous quarterback. He's the highest rated player Alabama's ever signed.
I
But
think that last year, Luke, this take that people have that Ty must not be good, because if Ty was good, then they would have sat Jalen on the bench and Ty would have been the quarterback after Jalen struggled. I put zero credence into that. Zero. I don't think one had to do with the other at all. And I say that to say this: if Ty's the quarterback this fall, it means nothing about Keelan Russell in his future. Nothing, virtually nothing. I'm going to be, until I learn from sources or my own eyeballs that Keelan Russell is not as good as hyped. I'm going to be 100% certain that Keelan Russell is going to be a big star at Alabama. I just am patient enough to know that for true freshmen, that doesn't happen all the. Tua was the fifth quarterback taken in the draft and was good off the boat, as good as any quarterback Alabama's ever had. It took until what, game 15 for him to be the quarterback, and that's Bryce Young. Bryce Young sat for a year behind Mac Jones, who a lot of people don't think is super gifted. Now, Mac had a great year, that year when Mac was really good in 2020, but Bryce sat for a year. And I think it's absurd for, if anyone out there right now, well, Keelan's better than Bryce, Keelan's better than Tua. That that's a heck of a statement to make. I'm not going to say that. That's outrageous to me in terms of planning expectations on a kid that the first pick and the fifth pick, and this guy's better than that. No, I mean, maybe he will prove ultimately to be as good as they are, maybe down the road, but I think it's going to be Ty. I've always thought it was going to be Ty. Now, for those saying, well, sometimes you're wrong, I thought it was going to be Ty 2 years ago. I thought Ty would beat out Jalen Milroe in 2023. I thought that he would. I thought that's how it would play out. But Milroe just proved to be a real dynamic presence in addition to being a dynamic athlete.
I do want to correct one thing you said. You said Tua was the fifth quarterback taken. He was the fifth player taken.
Fifth player. Yeah, exactly.
I know what you meant.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. It's hard sometimes to compare quarterbacks over time periods, in the sense that, if Mac Jones was incredible his single starting year at Alabama. But I'll say this, if Bryce Young had been the starter then, I think he would have been just as incredible, maybe not more so, because the talent was there. If Devontae Smith had one of those years that was just amazing, and then of course you had Jalen Waddle and you had Najee Harris, you just had dudes on top of dudes everywhere. If Tua had been there in 2020, I mean, I think he would have been amazing. If again, it's hard to compare sometimes, but for instance, if Dan Marino had been in Tom Brady's situation, would he actually have more Super Bowls? My guess is yes. So, but I'll say this, that I think we have what this has done is brought me back down to earth a little bit, in terms of, hey, Ty Simpson's probably the dude until he isn't the dude.
Yeah, exactly. That's really exactly how I feel about it. I think Ty's going to have a Mac Jones type season, with lots of caveats. he don't have that team around him that Mac had in 2020. He's gonna have a good team around him, but he didn't have Mac Jones supporting cast in 2020. That was the best Saban team, definitely the best Saban offense of all time. So Ty's not going to have that, but I do think he's going to perform at a really high level, even though it's his first year as a starter, in part because it is year 4. And guess what? It was year 4 for Mac Jones back in 2020, his redshirt junior year, before he became the full-time starter dude. And now Ty at the same age is doing the same thing. And I think he's going to have a big year. I think he's going to be a really good player. I think what we'll read, it's going to frustrate the heck out of me. So I don't know why I'm even talking about it, because it's going to frustrate me. But I think Ty's going to be so good. A lot of people this fall are going to be talking about, why wasn't he the quarterback last year? But that's because it was last year and it was a different dynamic and a different team. And also, maybe Ty wasn't ready. I mean, he's the fact that he's good now doesn't 100% mean he would have been good last year. We all saw Ty in 2023. We saw him play. He wasn't ready. I thought he would be. I was wrong. He that South Florida game showed Ty's not quite ready. So he wasn't ready in 2023. I think he is going to be ready in 2025. That does not mean he was ready in 2024. We already know he wasn't in 23. I think people would just assume that he was ready in 2024. That's not fair or a correct way to look at it. Now, maybe he was. Again, I don't know. I'm just saying that the question is he going to be ready in 2025? I have a lot of confidence that he is.
Let's talk some Nissan. We're all about the stats because numbers don't lie. And when it comes to the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X, the numbers are on an MVP level. And with the ability to tow up to 8,500 pounds, it can quite literally carry the whole team plus the gear wherever you need to go. It's powered by a twin turbo V6 engine, delivering the strength and performance to handle highways, back roads, and everything in between. And with room for up to 8 people, the Armada Pro 4X is built for big cruise, big adventures, and even bigger memories. Whether you're exploring off-road trails or rolling up to the arena, the Armada Pro 4X brings power, versatility, and style wherever you go. Take your adventures to new heights in the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. Learn more at nissanusa.com. Okay, so the quarterback was the story from the scrimmage. I mean, that just like it typically always is from a scrimmage, especially in a year when you don't know who the quarterback's going to be, probably. So what else did we learn from the scrimmage, Jimmy? Was there a lot else out there?
I think from DeBoer's comments and what I've been able to glean from various people, to me, wide receiver is a huge story in terms of Alabama's just better at wide receiver last year. And one of the most amazing stats, Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard caught twice as many balls as the rest of the wide receiver room combined. It was the Ryan and Germ show and basically nothing else at wide receiver. This year, it's what's exciting is Ryan and Germ are back. They're great. I don't want them to see less balls, right? But the rest of the room is catching up. Looks like Zay Horton's going to be a great player. Rico Scott is coming along really well. He caught a touchdown pass. I know we're all excited to see Mbakwe at wide receiver. Latsier Brooks is living up to the Luke and Jimmy hype. I wouldn't say the recruiting industry hyped him, but we did, and he's been impressive. There's just a lot. Cole Adams, good player. Jalen Hale, good player. He's back. I think having Adams and Hale healthy, I mean, this is just a deep, good room and a heck of a reason to throw the ball a lot. I do think to some extent Alabama was a little easier to defend when there's really only 2 wide receivers that the defense ever had to really worry about. I think spreading the ball out is going to make Alabama a more difficult offense to defend.
Yeah. Anything about the running backs, though?
Yep.
I mean, I know you mentioned Jam Miller. I'm going to tell you something. I just don't Jam Miller with like a home run ball. It doesn't seem like that's something that should be happening to the defense. I love Jam Miller for what he is, but I feel like Jam Miller is a 2.5 yards, 3 yards in a cloud of dust kind of guy. And he's a good blocker, all those things. And I appreciate it. A pretty good receiver. I appreciate all that. That doesn't mean he's not a good running back. I'm just saying, if you made mention that Jam Miller had a long run, that kind of scares me for the defense.
Well, it could have also, I mean, who knows? I mean, DeBoer, in my limited experience, he does tend to go first team versus first team more than Saban did. But I'm just saying we don't know that Jam was out there against the second team defense or whether that was the first team. And there's so many guys missing anyway. The first team defense probably is the second team defense this spring. But um, the way I view Jam, I think he's a little underrated now. If people take into account, he's clearly not great. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, we've seen enough Jam to know he's not great in the Derrick Henry, Ashton Genty, he's not that guy. He's not going to win the Heisman Trophy next year. That's not who he is or what his ceiling is. We've seen enough of him to know that. But I think it's come full circle to the point where we underrate him a little bit because we have not seen Jam Miller in a traditional run offense as an experienced older player. I mean, last year was his first year playing as an experienced older player, and he wasn't in an offense that probably fit him well. And at times, he did look good. There were games, there were carries, there were flashes. I think we'll see the best Jam Miller we've ever seen this next fall, and he's going to be good. He'll be good. Is he great? No, we're just being honest when we say we've seen enough of him to know that he's not going to be great in the first round of the draft sense, or the Derrick Henry sense, or the Mark Ingram sense, who won
Yeah.
a Heisman Trophy. I don't think Jam's that guy. I don't think so. I would love to be wrong.
I love the way you put that. That is, see, everybody thinks of greatness as like this benchmark that everybody can reach. Jam Miller, we're going to see a better, maybe the best Jam Miller, as you said, and the best Jam Miller, no offense to Jam Miller in the least, is not in the area code of a Derrick Henry, of a Mark Ingram, of a Najee Harris, of a TJ Yeldon. To me,
he's just not a first round back.
No, and that's okay.
Yeah,
that we that is totally fine. Ken Darby was a really good, the best Ken Darby. Yeah. Might not have even played very much for Nick Saban. You know what I mean?
He was best really, Darby ever was a day 3. I think it was a 7th round pick. Yeah. I think Jam's a little better. I think Jam might be a day 2 pick, but that's what we've seen so far. No, what we've seen so far, he's not. I think he might be. I'll give you that could happen. That's a pretty big deal for a back.
And I just don't want that to be considered insulting. Is all I'm saying. We tend to say, "Oh, you don't think he's very good." No, we're not saying he's not good. Yeah. We're saying he's good. We're saying he's just not in the realm of some of these other guys that we have gotten accustomed to. And I think he would be being judged differently if we didn't have such an incredible run of running backs.
Oh, that's so true.
You know what I mean?
Know what I'd say about know what I would call a player who's drafted in the 6th round that makes an NFL roster? Know what I call him? An NFL back.
Yeah.
And the day that we decide NFL backs just aren't good enough, we're just off the reservation.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. All right. Now I want to tell you guys about 5-hour energy, because I've used 5-hour energy a lot myself. I'm telling you, I really have. I need something today because I got a sinus infection and everything's going wrong for me right now, but that's okay. Daylight savings time has snuck up on us again. And if you're feeling that lost hour of sleep, 5-hour energy has your back. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you need a little boost to power through. Whether you're staying up late watching the NCAA tournament, squeezing in a round of golf after work, or just trying to keep up with your busy day, 5-hour energy gives you that quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. And I've used it a ton. I've been staying up late watching all the NCAA tournament action because you have to, because it's been a lot of fun. And 5-hour energy helps me keep up the next day. You need one now? Grab 5-hour energy shot at your local grocery store or convenience store. They're everywhere. Stock up today and stay energized. But you know what? I really want you to head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, peach mango, all the stuff I was having in my drinks down in the Dominican. Those are all my flavored daiquiris down there. You can even build your own 12-pack or 24-pack delivered right to your door. That's 5hourenergy. Tell them, Jimmy.
Calm.
Okay. So now
I
let's
say,
talk a little
whenever I
basketball.
say calm, it kind of sounds like a Star Trek. Remember on Star Trek, I think they would use the word calm a lot for that
They,
little
like they would that was what they did. They'd flip it open.
Motorola flip phone that
Yeah.
they used back in 1966.
My mom would kill to go back to flip phones. She had a phone and my kids made fun of her. They called it Flippy because she has an Apple now, but it's a 6th generation. And she's like, I'm like, Mom, we can upgrade you. And she's like, I don't want to upgrade. I've just learned this. I'm like, Apple's going to quit making it where that one works anymore, And, but she's like, I just love my flip phone. That way I never butt dialed anybody. I never accidentally did anything wrong. And mom's going to be one of those that has a jitterbug, one of those phones that only has like 6 numbers on it.
Yeah,
and
because the numbers have to be so big,
Yeah, but you have to use a wand to dial them. But anyway, so basketball, a couple of things. First of all, the ratings have been through the roof. I'm taking a victory lap on this about the people who just love to see the little guy and Stephen A. Smith, who doesn't give a rip about the NCAA tournament until right now. He's like, this is going to be the death of college basketball. I know I've already talked about this, but I'm taking my victory lap, y'all. I'm telling you, having the blue bloods, having the big names has made this tournament so much more fun. It's made it so much better. How much more fun was Texas Tech against Arkansas last night? Oh my God, that game was great.
It was a game.
If that game had, and here's the thing, Arkansas is a 10 seed. So if Arkansas, if you take, people think a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Well, Bart Simpson said, not if you call them stink blossoms. And I think he's right. If that game had been Texas Tech, a 3 seed against number 10, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to make something, Illinois State. I mean, I'm making up something. That game doesn't have the same cachet. It just doesn't. But I digress because I want to talk about Bama Duke. And I didn't know this. I looked it up. Did you know Bama's 0-5 against Duke all time?
Did not know that. I'm a little surprised to learn that because a lot of people don't know that before Coach K, Duke was terrible.
Yeah, Duke was terrible then.
Duke is the product of Coach K.
Yeah.
Before Coach K, they were just not a basketball power at all. And it's funny because people call them a blue blood. They're actually a Coach K blood. I mean, Kentucky and Indiana were good decades before Duke was good, but Duke has been a thing thanks to Coach K, and I have all the respect in the world for them because they've done it just and have that private school super education, to go along with it, and yeah, I've always appreciated Duke basketball.
I have too, and I'm excited about that. I mean, this is a golden opportunity, and I listened to some of the national folks, Dusty Dvorak and Danny Cannell. They also had Chris Patola on, and they talked about the Alabama Duke game is going to blow the ratings out of the water. It's going to be unbelievable because I didn't want to, but after we did our live reaction show, I stayed up and watched a lot of the Duke game. Cooper Flagg is a freaking unicorn. He's just a unicorn covered in pixie dust with a leprechaun hat and UFO shoes. He's unbelievable.
There'll be a lot of Alabama fans watching Duke Saturday night, Luke, that have never seen Cooper Flagg. Because a lot of Alabama, I'm not taking a shot at anyone because I get, but I think there's a lot of Alabama basketball fans that are really into this team and watch this team. They don't watch other college basketball.
No, I agree.
They only watch Alabama, and they might watch some SEC basketball for minutes at a time. But I think there'll be Alabama fans that have yet never seen Cooper Flagg play basketball until Saturday night, and boy, are they in for a shock.
I had a thought while watching it because he is so he influences the game in every aspect. Even when he's not scoring, he's doing something else that influences so much. He really is he's that good. Now, by the way, Alabama was in on his recruitment. I'm not saying Alabama was second. I mean, but I think Alabama was in there. I mean, that's the kind of stuff Nate Oates has got us involved with.
If Cooper Flagg played at South Carolina this year, add Cooper Flagg to South Carolina.
South Carolina's probably a 2 seed.
That's what I was going to ask. Did they win the SEC?
Probably not win the SEC, but I mean, because but boy, they had that kid. They had some good players. I mean, they weren't.
That's how good he is. That's how good. That's how good this kid is.
Let me say this too.
He's going to raise the team X number of wins for almost anywhere he plays.
I've said this for weeks now that I do think that college basketball does it right. They don't name the player of the year till later on. I've been saying I would vote for Janai Broome. I'd vote for Cooper Flag's the best player in basketball. I think I'd have to change my vote now.
He's the best player. I would give it to Janai Broome in the sense that look what he's a senior. Look what he's done for his program. I mean, Duke being number one is like, yeah, well, Duke's number one every year.
No, but they got a new coach, Jimmy.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just saying, no one's surprised when Duke's number one. It's a pretty big shock that Auburn's number one, and Janai Broome had a ton to do with that.
It is, but I swear, and I wanted to reward Broome for sticking around in college because I love that. I appreciate it. Even though he's an Auburn guy, I appreciate it. But I think you do have to take into account Auburn is this team full of dudes who are like, they got 10 seniors or something. Duke is a bunch of young kids. Cooper Flagg, by the way, is the same kind of age thing as Ryan Williams.
Yeah, he reclassified, right?
Yeah, he just turned 18 in January.
Yeah, he's an 18-year-old. I do know Cooper's 18. That's nuts. He is literally, like you said, a unicorn. I would say alien.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not supposed to be like this. And we use the term generational way too much to the point that it doesn't even mean what it's supposed to mean. But he's generational. He is.
By the way, I would love for him to come back. I really would. I just think it'd be cool. He's not going to do it. I would love for him to. But the NBA needs him. The NBA needs a shot in the arm. And because the NBA ratings are tanking and the college basketball rankings are skyrocketing.
Did you see the end of the Bulls-Lakers?
No, what happened?
You know what I'm
Wait a minute.
as long as I've been watching basketball, I've never seen Bulls down 5, 10 seconds left. Down 5. Make a 3. Steal the inbounds. Makes another 3 to take the lead. Lakers go the length of the court and take back the lead with 2 seconds left. Bulls hit a half-court shot to win the game.
Oh, I got to watch the highlights now. All right.
That's crazy. I mean, that is crazy.
Speaking of crazy, again, I can't say enough good things. If you missed a live reaction show last night, the announcers that I was listening to, which were national broadcasters while I was coming back from Atlanta, and they were like, I've never seen anything like what Alabama did last night. And I keep reading about it. Y'all, I don't think people appreciate how we obliterated the 3-point record in the NCAA tournament. It was 21 that had been held up since 1990. Ironically, done by Loyola Marymount in a year when we played Loyola Marymount and held them, to like in the 60s. I can't remember the exact score, but the final was something like, 60-something to 60-something. But Loyola had done, and their offense was so like off the charts weird at the time, and they scored 21 3-pointers. We beat it, by the way, with 7.5 minutes to go in the game, and the game's out of hand. We could have beaten it by 4 or 5 more 3-pointers had it been tight.
We took our foot off the accelerator at the end. They did.
It's just amazing. And then the Mark Sears scoring 10 3-pointers. And look, let's get back to the Duke thing for a second. What I meant to say before I got on my Cooper Flagg rant, because I really do appreciate him, the dude is awesome. I'm wondering if this is one of those situations where you're like, okay, we're going to let Cooper, not going to let, but Cooper Flagg, we understand he's going to get his points. I mean, look, Eagle Staff got his points. Josh Hubbard got his points. That dude for St. Mary's got his points, or not St. Mary's. Robert Morris got his points. Everybody's going to get their points. We let one dude get their points. What we got to do is make sure the other folks don't get uncorked.
I'll put the over-under on Cooper Flagg at 30.
Easily.
I mean, if I said it's 30, would you go over?
I'm going to tell you this. If Cooper Flagg scores over 30, I think we win.
If he scores over 30.
Because
that means no one else is scoring.
Exactly. So
your concern is if he scores 22, too many other Duke players have also scored.
My concern is if he scores 22 and he has 8 assists and,
Right.
they got some big men too. I just feel like if Cooper Flag is the show, I think we can outrun everybody else and keep them uninvolved, because he can't be everywhere all the time. And by the way, it's not like he's playing a dump truck team. Cooper Flag is playing the University of Alabama, who's very, very good.
I can't
So
wait to see who we put on him. I mean, it's not going to work. I mean, who are we going to put on him? I mean,
Modi,
maybe. I mean, I think Phylon, but God, he's so much bigger than Phylon. But I think Phylon's going to get his opportunity. But yeah, Modi, Grant is also going to be on him some, I think.
how about if Grant's on him, it's like young Grant and old Cooper, because it's like, Cooper, you got to think that Cooper's eventually going to get a bad mustache, right? I mean, that's just what
Well,
big
he's not going to look
big
18
white
forever.
basketball playing dudes do. They get bad mustaches eventually in their careers. I just don't think Cooper can grow one yet. He's that young.
He's just extremely, extremely difficult to guard. If you put a big guy on him, he's going to wear you out on the perimeter. Put a little guy on him, he's going to wear you out closer to the basket.
Jaron Stevenson's another option. I know some people's
True.
blood just curdled, but I'm telling you.
I like it. No, I do like it. I mean, it's going to have to be a guy that's comfortable guarding on the perimeter and near the basket. I mean, you can't just have a perimeter player or an inside player cover him. It's going to have to be somebody who's comfortable guarding anywhere. Darion Reed is clearly an option here, but I just wonder how healthy he is. Could Darion Reed keep up with Cooper Flag I mean, we're going to play Cooper's not going to come off the floor. How often can we play? But Darion Reed, he's certainly going to get his opportunity too.
Well, if Cooper's not coming off the floor, that's another thing. We need to run.
Well, if we have another shooting night,
run.
If we have another shooting night like we had against BYU, Duke will be in trouble. But so would the Celtics. I mean,
By the way, I was going to say something, and then my sinus infection kicked in. Doesn't matter. We will be doing a reaction show after the Duke game, and that's going to do it for me because that's all I can talk.
It's late night.
Roll Tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.